And the first one right out of the chute is from our friend Nathan, who asks us questions all the time. Nathan's a Nebraska fan, lives in Israel, has been noticing a trend this year, and I think he's right on it. He says, am I wrong, or does every Power 4 conference have a head coach opening already? Is it too early to ask for an over-under on Power 4 jobs that will come open this year? Feels like it is going to be a lot. So Nathan is correct. There's at least one job opening in every Power 4 conference. So the ACC has 2 with Stanford and Virginia Tech. The Big Ten has UCLA. The Big 12 has Oklahoma State. And the SEC has Arkansas. Now, as far as how many, remember, last year did not have many. And it kind of depends on how you want to count Wake Forest, because Dave Clawson didn't get fired. He just stepped down. But you had Wake Forest, North Carolina, Purdue. What am I missing? There's a couple other ones, but it wasn't many. It was a very small year for power conference changes.
Well, I wanted to ask you, because I had this thought last weekend. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's a few that seem like they could be opening here, maybe even in the next few weeks.
Yep.
But do you think that the rampant firings that have already happened so far this year is an indication that there's going to be a tidal wave of change at the end of the season? Or do you think that the openings that were most likely to become open came open early? Like, I don't know. Like, is this the beginning of a trend, or these are all the
this is the question. Yeah, this is essentially the heart of Nathan's question. And so I'll tell you, I had an agent call me this past summer and say they thought there would be 14 to 15 power conference job openings, which I think that might include some backfill, some like a huge power conference job opens and a coach leaves a power conference job for that huge job. But I've made a list now, and I feel like it's a fairly conservative list. And again, not all of these are sure things. So I'm counting up. Bad podcasting. Okay. I can give you 14.
Okay.
I can get you to 14, not backfill, just openings.
So are you looking at preseason lists, or are you looking at circumstances that we've found out in the 5 weeks that the season started?
I'm looking at circumstances we found out. And again, I'm being very conservative because, for example, I do not have Kentucky on the list in the SEC. I know Kentucky fans probably want to do something with Mark Stoops if what's happening continues. But I just think the buyout is prohibitive. I think that he's got a mid-$30 million, like $34 million buyout due. It's either 30 or 60 days, but it's all due in one lump sum right away. I don't think anybody's doing that. I think, maybe, but I can't see it. So I didn't put him on that list. So
are you going to go through this list?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you.
Before you do it, though, Andy, before you do it, I wrote we both did a hot off-season hot seat list. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I just want to go through mine as a review.
Yes.
Because we're looking at the openings that River put up there already, and a few of them were on the list already. Like Sam Pittman was on my list. Brent Pry was on my list. So 2 out of the 6, or 2 out of the 8 that I listed have already been fired. Now, I'm going to let you cook now, and I want to see how many of the ones that you say line up with the ones that haven't happened from our hot seat list in the offseason.
Well, I'm also going to send people to a Brett McMurphy column at On3 that came out this week that is very educational. So check the QR code at the bottom of the screen if you're watching on video, and you just hit that with your phone and you can read along with us. So what Brett did is he made a list this week of every power conference coach who is either at 500 or worse than 500 since the 2022 season began. And I think that's a very good gauge for who might be in danger. So you've got Mike Gundy, already fired. Pat Narduzzi at Pitt is 21-21. Greg Schiano at Rutgers is 21-22. Billy Napier at Florida, 20-22. Dave Aranda at Baylor, 20-23. Sam Pittman, already fired. Justin Wilcox at Cal, 20-23. Mark Stoops at Kentucky, 20-24. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, 19-23. Brent Pry at Virginia Tech, already fired. Tony Elliott at Virginia, 15-24. Now, Tony Elliott is hot. Just beat Florida State. His team is off to a great start. I think they're already outperforming expectations, so I think he's probably going to be fine. Clark Lee, absolutely going to be fine. Clark Lee had a really rough start at Vanderbilt. They got better. They are as good as Vanderbilt has ever been right now. So Clark Lee is fine. There's no danger for him. Everybody else, with the exception of Mark Stoops, because I just said I think he's too expensive, is an issue. Although I will say I don't have Greg Schiano on this list because I think that might be too expensive as well, or too expensive for Rutgers. But maybe I'm being a little generous. So we'll start in the Big Ten. The other UCLA's open. The other jobs I have that could possibly open, Northwestern. It could be David Braun. They decide to move on because they want to bring in somebody new before they open that new stadium. Or maybe they just decide to do coordinator flipperoo. We'll see what happens with Northwestern, but they're not very good. They did beat UCLA, so at least they've got one Big Ten win, but that might be their only Big Ten win. Wisconsin, it's really expensive if you want to fire Luke Fickell. It's probably too expensive for Wisconsin, at least for their tastes. But if it goes really badly, like if they get trounced by Michigan this weekend, and it looks like they might not, if they feel like they're in a position where they might not win another game, I don't know. You might have to do something.
Yeah. That is interesting because there is the concept of too expensive to fire, but also circumstances can get worse where that doesn't apply. You know, so we'll see where that goes. Okay. You have more to go through?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got other conferences, buddy. I want to tell you about Brunt Workwear. Look at this beautiful boot. This thing is incredible. This is the Marin. It's spectacular. It's comfortable, but it's also made to get the job done. So the founder of Brunt Workwear, Eric Girard, grew up blue collar. He started Brunt Workwear because he had friends in the trades telling him that the big brands had stopped listening. They hadn't changed in 100 years. They're worried about fashion, all this stuff. So he made a functional boot that looks great, that will hold up to whatever job you put it through, that also is insanely comfortable. Like you put these things on and it feels like you are walking on pillows. So go to bruntworkwear.com for durable, reliable workwear. Get $10 off with the code ON3. That's bruntworkwear.com, BRUNT, workwear.com, all one word. Use the code ON3 to get $10 off. They will survive whatever you throw at them, and your feet will thank you for it.
Yeah.
Let's go to the ACC. Stanford's already open. Remember, Frank Reich is there as an interim. He has no intention of coaching past this year. So Andrew Luck's going to go hire somebody. Virginia Tech is also open. I have Cal on this list, though Justin Wilcox could save himself here. I would have not put Justin Wilcox on this list at all if the San Diego State game hadn't happened a couple weeks ago,
right,
where they got shut out. But Cal's doing well. Like if they keep up what they're doing, then he's going to be fine.
And have a really exciting young quarterback, which, as you know, can help a coach.
Yeah. Jaron Chiave Sagapolatelli.
Nailed it.
JKS for short. I have NC State on this list here. And again, this is one I probably wouldn't have put on the list if last week hadn't happened. They lost to Virginia Tech. They lost to zombie Virginia Tech. And that is a bad sign with some very tough games the rest of the way for them. Like they got to play Notre Dame. They've got to play Florida. Who else do they have? They have Miami. They have Georgia Tech. They have Florida State. It could get very ugly. They've lost 2 in a row. They lost to Duke. They lost to Virginia Tech. They play Campbell this week. So they're probably going to win that one against the Camels. If they lose the Camels, totally different story for Dave Doran. But Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Miami, Florida State, that's a four games in 5 span. That's going to be very tough for them. And I just don't know. I mean, at that point, you have a good quarterback in CJ Bailey. Like, is 6-6 what you wanted out of this?
Yeah.
So they've got to figure that out. I don't think Dave Doran is a sure thing. I think he can definitely pull out of this. Pat Narduzzi, same thing, can definitely pull out of it, but you worry about Pitt. He pulled Eli Holstein at the end of the Louisville game and went with Cole Gonzalez for a little bit. We'll see what they do this week. It sounds like they're back to Holstein to start, but that's another one where they're at 500 and Pat Narduzzi's at 500 since 2022. What happens next? So they play Boston College this week. Boston College just lost to Cal. That's going to be one of those coin flip games that you got to win because they have Florida State, they have Notre Dame, they have Georgia Tech, they have Miami still left on the schedule.
Yeah. Man. It's like there are certain coaches too that like we weren't really speaking about much in the offseason that like still have some pretty important games to win, because circumstances change within the season that we don't foresee in the offseason.
Narduzzi's not a cheap firing. We don't know exactly what his buyout is because the laws in Pennsylvania are a little bit funky, and Pitt does not have to tell you all that much. But we'll see where that goes. It would be pretty expensive. So I think there's a chance also he just wins enough that it's not an issue. But that's one to keep an eye on.
Pitt been satisfied, or did they come into the year unsatisfied?
They're restless right now. I think restless is the key word. I think the loss in the backyard brawl was pretty rough.
Yeah.
All right. The next one in the ACC, North Carolina. Like, they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
They're very bad. And I
was wondering if you were going to do this.
If this gets any better. And if that doesn't get any better, because like, this isn't like a succession plan where Bill Belichick's kid takes over. Like, if they are as awful as they have been and wind up being 2-10 or 3-9, nobody's going to want anybody associated with them to come back.
The thing that is so interesting to me is that when you hire Bill Belichick, do you hire him with the frame of mind that they better get better immediately? Like that you're hiring a wizard that's going to come in and win 10 games right off the bat. Like, is that what
you hired him to be better than the guy you fired in Mac Brown? Like, and that's what, I was reading the message boards a few weeks ago and somebody said, if we'd gotten the Iowa State coach, how much better would we be? The answer is, and Matt Campbell was not coming to North Carolina, by the way. They tried, Bubba Cunningham, the AD, tried to reach out to him, but they kind of sniffed out that Belichick was maybe wanting the job and that the board chair was making an end run around Bubba Cunningham to get him hired. If Matt Campbell were North Carolina's coach right now, Ari, North Carolina would be one of the better teams in the ACC because Matt Campbell knows what he's doing in college football.
Yeah. My thought process with this was always, if you let Bill Belichick do what Bill Belichick is supposed to do, which is evaluate talent, develop them, and coach them up, that isn't an overnight fix. So if you were to move on from the experiment after 1 year, then you shouldn't have done the experiment.
I don't think they'd fire him. I think this would be him going,
I'm done with this.
I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that, at the very least, he should have one full year, even if it's a bad one, to hit the portal again, get his bearings and try again. If they're this bad again next year, then I could see that. But I don't know that you hire Bill Belichick with the hopes that he could flip a roster, because there's other people in the country that would have been able to flip it faster, especially people who are more familiar with the players.
John Sumrall was another one that wasn't a candidate thrown around for that job, the Tulane coach. If John Sumrall were North Carolina's coach right now, they wouldn't be bad.
The one thing that we never talked about, and I'm curious to bring it up now with you, Andy, is that when we were talking about evaluation in the portal, like Bill Belichick is a smart man and knows football, but the general familiarity with the names, having not gone through recruiting yet and all that stuff, does that put you behind the eight ball if you're like an NFL guy coming in? Like John Sumrall probably is familiar with players.
Absolutely. Like when players hit the transfer portal, John Sumrall knows them either because he recruited him at Tulane, or he recruited him when he was at Troy, or he was recruiting that high school, and maybe that player was going, like, let's say he was Troy's head coach. He was recruiting that high school, and his entire player was going to an SEC school, but he knew him.
And his entire staff has lived on On3 for the past 5 years and knows the lists like the back of their hands. And I'm wondering if it takes a year to just get your bearings on who people are. Like there's so many names. We talk about how often or I mean, how prevalent the portal has become the last few years. Think about it. Thousands of names. And a lot of times the players who end up at other places end up there because of pre-existing relationships that occurred during recruiting in those circumstances that you just outlined, which is I was recruiting this high school in Orlando and we weren't good enough to get the left tackle, but he was there and I saw him work out when I was watching this other kid and he can play. Let's go get him. Like that. They didn't have that. So like, it's awful right now. I don't know if you can jump to a 100% conclusion that it cannot work in 1 year the same way.
You're not firing. You fully guaranteed his contract. You're not firing him and paying $20 million. Like it would be him deciding this is ridiculous. I don't want to do this anymore.
It was ridiculous to say that he would be no one really said this, but it was ridiculous to think that they would be an overnight success because of him. And I think it's equally ridiculous to give up that he could ever be successful after one season. I think it's like somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah. So, but again, it would be him deciding, I think, not them deciding.
Yeah.
Let's move to the Big 12. Oklahoma State's already open. Kansas State, maybe, but I feel more confident in Chris Kleiman after last week where somebody decided to let Avery Johnson use his legs or tell Avery Johnson to use his legs. And lo and behold, when you do that, it does very well.
Yeah. I mean, it was a disaster of a beginning of the year.
Yes.
And they did a pretty good job against UCF, but losing to Army in Arizona and almost losing to North Dakota and losing to Iowa State. I mean, I don't know if that was just like the Ireland hangover or if they're just going to be cooked this year. But Kansas State was a team that we could conceivably think could win the Big 12, and now it's been almost painful to watch them play. So, that's certainly something to track moving forward.
We'll keep an eye on it, but that if they play like they did last week, that he's probably fine. Arizona, also, Brent Brennan was one at the beginning of the year. We said, hey, this is one you should worry about. I don't think you need to worry about him right now. Now, maybe it gets they did get housed by Iowa State, but I think Iowa State's going to do that to a lot of people. But
I will tell
Arizona's
you,
looks
just from the
better.
Chat, the wind flew out of Arizona sails last weekend. People were getting excited. Hey, this is a fun team to watch. They beat Kansas State. They can put up points. They've got a good quarterback. I still think Noah Fafita is good. And like they looked like really good the first 3 weeks and then losing 39-14. I know it was on the road, but they weren't even competitive in that game. And I think that you want to see them be competitive. But so far, I think the early returns on Arizona's season have been, probably more positive than negative. And they're playing Oklahoma State this weekend, so that should probably get them to 4-1. Then you've got BYU, Houston, Colorado, and Kansas and Cincinnati all in a row.
I think if Arizona gets to a bowl game this year, Brent Brennan's fine.
Yeah. It seems more likely they would get to a bowl game. I mean, last year was an abject failure. So bowl game would be a good improvement.
SEC, Arkansas is already open.
Wait, did we forget one in the Big 12?
Oh, what did we forget?
Scott Satterfield in the offseason.
Yeah, Scott Satterfield in the offseason, but I think he's working his way out of there.
Is he good?
He's not. I don't think he's quite good yet, but I think he's veering toward good. And we'll talk about this with John Ewing later. They're actually favored against Iowa State going into the weekend, which is pretty amazing. But Brendan Sorsby, excellent quarterback for Cincinnati. He's been good. And so I think Satterfield may be okay. We were worried about him coming into the season. I think he's going to be okay. We can
almost beat Nebraska in the opener.
Yeah. So we'll leave that one to track. But I left Arizona and Cincinnati off the Big 12 list. So when I said 14, it didn't include them. So let's go to the SEC. Arkansas is open. We are assuming Florida will open. We don't know when, but we're assuming it will. I mean, basically, it would take Billy Napier winning out the rest of the way.
Yeah.
To save this thing.
We've spoken a lot.
I don't think that's happening.
Yeah.
Auburn is looking really dicey right now. Hugh Freeze's tenure is looking dicey. We talk about the prohibitive buyouts. This one gets added to this list because it is one of the least prohibitive buyouts. It's manageable for them. I want to say it's about $15 million, which is still a lot of money, but not for an SEC school. But
when it's not a lot of money, your standard of what needs to happen to fire them goes down.
Correct. So
definitely.
And that's it for the SEC schools to me. I don't think there's anybody else that's in danger of getting fired, except, again, because I don't think Mark Stoops is fireable. I think it's too expensive.
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kentucky finds a lot of money somewhere in a bourbon barrel, but it seems unlikely. But that's the list. So that would be 14 power conference, not including, say, if Florida and Auburn open and somebody from a power conference were to take those jobs and then you fill behind.
There's one omission, actually.
Oh, okay.
Of a person that was sternly on the hot seat in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And is interesting now.
Okay.
Brent Venables.
Yes, and I think he's going to be fine.
Okay.
I realize the schedule's hard. John Mateer's out for an indefinite period. Maybe things slide.
Did he win has he won the fan base back yet?
For now, I mean, don't go get blown out by Texas, but yeah, I think they're feeling pretty good.
Okay. I think that's one to track still. Like, they feel like they're out of the woods. They have a terrible injury they'll have to work through now, and their Texas game is coming up in a few weeks. I don't know if he's 100% out of the woods yet if things go off the rails. So Oklahoma still has to keep winning. Yep.
Yeah, keep an eye on that one too. And it's like Hugh Freeze can turn it around Auburn. If Hugh Freeze beats Georgia, we're not even having that conversation again.
Yep.
So we shall see. It's going to be an interesting next few weeks.